hello everyone. Welcome to CFA's April 1st, 2025 Executive Board Meeting. Madam Secretary, please do the roll call.
Aki Tamura. No Aki. Ann Mathis.
Here.
Carissa Altshaw.
Here. And
she
are we
is.
doing the here and I affirm thing?
Thank you. Yes, thank you for the reminder, Carissa. We are by acknowledging our attendance, we're also agreeing to abide by the Board of Directors Code of Ethics and Confidentiality. Carol Krasnowski.
Here, and I affirm.
Daryl Newkirk.
Here and I affirm.
Dorianne Nason.
Here and I affirm.
Howard Webster. No Howard. Janet Moyer.
Here and I affirm.
John Kalila.
Here and I affirm.
Kathy Calhoun.
Here and I affirm.
Kenny Curley.
Here and I affirm.
Pam Delabar.
Here and I affirm.
Polly Houtanimi.
Here and I confirm.
Marilee Griswold.
Here and I affirm.
Rachel Anger is here. Rich Maston.
Here and I affirm.
Russell Webb.
Here and I affirm.
Vicki Jensen.
Here and I affirm.
And we'll swing back around to Aki Tamura. Not here. Howard Webster. When they join the meeting, I will so indicate in the minutes. Also present is Eileen Tartaglia.
Here and I affirm.
Ed Raymond.
Here and I affirm.
James Simbro.
Here and I affirm.
Is there anyone who's a panelist whose name I did not call? Ed Raymond is also here.
Yes, he is here.
There we go. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Rachel. I affirm.
Thank you. Is there anyone on the panel in the meeting who is not a panelist? Okay, so we're just lacking 2 board members at this time. I will turn it back to you, Mr. President.
Rachel, thank you. Meeting is called to order. Rachel, I'm going to task you with one more thing before we get started. Would you please remind the board what you've been sending out over the emails?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I would be happy to. As a reminder, board members are supposed to have no more than 2 opportunities to speak on each issue. That's one item. Sorry, I'm trying to find my list so that we have the correct thing here. Okay. And we want to stay on topic. If you've scripted your statements, let's just read our statement and move on. If you have questions about a report, hopefully you've asked the author offline before the meeting. And most important, come prepared. So we're assuming everyone is prepared and has reviewed the reports and materials in advance.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. One reminder from me for all the committee chairs and board liaisons. We're focusing on action items. Please do not review your entire report. I will open up to the board questions for you to address. I appreciate everyone staying on task. We have, I believe, with closed session, 27 agenda items. Okay. With that, first order of business is to approve the orders of the day. Pam Delabar.
I will so move, but Rich, I was going to ask you for the orders of the day to please schedule a break.
Okay. We will definitely schedule a break between closed and executive session. And depending on when we start executive session, we may also schedule another break 2 hours in. Thank you, Pam. Daryl,
I'm a second.
thank you. Okay, we are open for discussion on the orders of the day for open session. Does anything need to be changed or added? Okay, any objections? Seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Rachel, please do agenda item number 2.
Thank you very much. We have the ratification of online motions. I'd like to move that we approve items 1 through 3 and 5 through 9. Item number 4 failed, and it will be taken care of in our judging program executive session report.
Okay, thank you. Rachel, Carol, are you a second?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion? Are there any objections? Seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously.
I have another item that is not on the ratification of online motions because it was dealt with after this was finalized. It was an online motion regarding the Malaysia show. Is there any interest by any board member of bringing that forward as an action item at this meeting? It failed the executive committee.
Penny,
I think perhaps it should be discussed in closed session.
Daryl,
That's fine.
okay,
But it's not listed? Can we have it?
I'll send it out to the board.
Okay, thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
okay, so Rachel, we're gonna put that in closed session, and where are we gonna take it up under closed session? Are we putting it under the ID committee?
I think that'd be a great place to put it with the consent of the ID chair.
Daryl,
I'm okay with that.
great, that's where we'll put it. Rachel, I rely on you to remember all this for us.
I got a note here.
Okay, thank you.
And that is oh, we have to vote on the motion?
You made the motion, I believe Kenny made the second. Is there any objections to that item being moved into the ID session during executive session? Okay. Seeing no objections, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Rachel.
Oh, thank you. That's all I have. I'll send that email now
Okay,
and put myself on mute.
great, thank you. And I'm just writing a note here myself before I move on. Okay. I see Vicky, Daryl, go ahead.
Yeah, can you scroll back up to number 9? And I'm just, for clarification, I want to make sure that this is something that's been instituted now through the end of this show season.
Ed, do you know?
No, the motion that was made was for next season, so nothing was put in place for this season.
Okay.
Daryl, do you want to take this up under old or new business?
No, no, I've just had a couple people contact me that they wish that Bay check-in in ID other was active now because of a couple of questionable stuffing issues at a couple of shows.
Well, if you want to make a motion and see how the board feels on it, you're welcome to do that.
Okay, would my motion be that this is effective immediately? Would that work, Ed?
Yes, that would work.
Okay, so I will make that motion.
Okay. Kenny, are you seconding?
I am.
Okay. Thank you, Daryl. Thank you, Kenny. This is now open for discussion. Are there any objections? Okay, seeing no objection, this motion passes unanimously. And Pam, before I continue, you are going to take the notes, okay? Thank you, Pam. As you always do. Go ahead, Pam.
I was going to say, is there something new I don't know about?
Nope, nothing new. I just know it's early in the morning for you, and I just want to make sure I get that cleared out of the way early.
For 4 years now, this is the first time you have ever expressed concern. Thank you.
I know. Okay. Daryl, did you have anything further?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. I see Vicky's with us. Vicky, before you start, I just want to confirm a couple things here. Russell, are you the standing motion on all action items?
Yes.
And Rachel, are you the standing second on all action items for the judging program?
I am, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Welcome, Vicky.
Thank you very much. I have been reminded a couple of times to keep this very brief, and so I will. Within the open session, I have one action item and one correction. The action item, if you can scroll down, the rest of the contents of this, I'm assuming everyone has read. The action item is actually housekeeping. This refers back to something that was passed last session, and it was a general change that applied to all sections of the judging program rule. However, it was also mentioned under the apprentice judges, and so we needed to go back in and correct this. What it allows is all judges everywhere, no matter what their status is, to go ahead and accept assignments in all regions and areas. So that is what the motion is.
Okay, thank you, Vicky. Open for discussion. Are there any objections? Seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously.
Alrighty, and the correction is in the guest judging program. Keep scrolling. It's the grids. Keep going. Bottom of the, okay, that's good. Oops, just passed it. Back just a little bit, Eileen. What this has to do with is write 4 lines from the bottom of the first grid where it refers to Rachel and Larry judging for INFI and FIFA. It's actually ANFI, A-N-F-I. Rachel, if you could please make that correction before this goes to publication.
I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's it for judging program, open session.
Does anybody have any questions for Vicky? Seeing no questions, Vicky, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, agenda item number 4. Eileen?
Rolling. Okay, I just have 2 minor additions and then the action items. So for the yearbook update, I wanted to thank Ed Raymond for his recommendation of a printer to contact. I did, and we were able to save about $7,300. So went from a $10,000 ticket to print to a $3,200 ticket to print the yearbook. So that's pretty substantial. Janet Moyer also had a printer who was who put in a bid, but it wasn't quite as good. So we'll be going with the printer that Ed recommended. That's that on the yearbook. The CFA logo trademark, we're finally getting to the point where we can use the registered trademark sign. And I just wanted to mention that a couple months ago, the tagline, "We Know Cats," has been trademarked as well, registered. So, is guarding registration of a sex-linked red mails. And it's, they happen. We have been registering them as not for breeding. It's been our policy for as long as I can remember to do that. Hasn't been an issue until recently when we were presented with a cat to be registered. It was a sex-linked red male. And we wrote to them and said, by the way, they're usually sterile. We register them as not for breeding. And the breeders said, oh, well, he's already had a litter of kittens and they have some sex-linked red males in there too. And the person noted that we have not published anywhere what our policy is regarding the registration of sex-linked red males. So I confirmed with the genetics committee. You can see they agreed the male cats should not be registered as breeding cats because it is a genetic aberration. So my motion is to do with this current cat that we have that's pending. And this is what I would like to do with this particular instance. And this is what the motion describes. Register this male cat as a breeding cat, register the one litter, change the male's registration not for breeding, and then register any progeny from the litter, male or female, as not for breeding. I think that would be a good consumer service. It stops things in their tracks. I'd rather register the litter this way than the person come back and say, oh, well, then I just am going to register the cat as a different color. So that's the action item that I've proposed.
Okay, Eileen, thank you. Daryl, are you making the motion?
I am.
Marilee, will you second the motion?
I will.
And I call on you, Marilee, because you're written up in here as you and Daryl agreed with this direction.
Yes. Yes, we have. So, I mean, this has been our policy for a long time, as Aline said. And so whether this is a chimera with different genetic, DNA in different parts of the cat, different lines, or whether it's an XXY, clearly, I mean, my guess would be in this particular cat, it may not be an XXY, but it's still a sex-linked red and making sex-linked reds. So I'm not sure that this is, where we want to go. So I think we probably do need an official policy. It's kind of been our unofficial policy anyway. But Daryl and I kind of agree on this.
Okay, thank you, Marilee. Daryl?
Yes, Lorraine put a thing up on Facebook, and she said usually these ones that reproduce are XXXY or they're XYXY. You have to have two X's to get patched or torties, and that's these male cats should only have one X, and we don't for torties and blue creams we don't even have a color class for males in those. So anyway, I think this is each registry has a right to do what they want. That's been our policy, and I think it's a good policy, and I think we should stay with it.
Okay, Daryl, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Eileen, Daryl, or Marilee?
Rich, this is Kathy. I can't raise my hand,
Okay,
but I do have a question.
all right, go ahead, Kathy.
Okay. And I guess this is primarily for Allie. Well, actually, I really think that the whole board should probably weigh in on what we do with this. And maybe this is not a conversation for a single board meeting as a policy statement. I think that we probably need to work on that. But my question is this specifically for this instance. If, in fact, you make this exception, if that's what I'm understanding you to say, so if this occurs again, now you've set a precedent. So if this happens again to a different cat, are we going to, allow an exception? I guess my point is, if we have a policy, we have a policy. I think we need to publish the policy and work on that. But if we have a policy, and if someone has asked for an exception to that, what are we going to do when the next person comes around asking for an exception?
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Eileen, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I think the issue with this particular thing is that we have never published this policy. It's not anywhere written. So this is the question that the person raised. He said, well, how would he even know that? And we thought, well, he wouldn't know that. So in an effort to be reasonable and accommodate the customer, we didn't provide that information. We will now have it in the rules for registration. And should this come up again, we can point to the rules and say, this is our policy regarding sex-linked red mails. That's the only reason I'm asking for the, if you want to consider an exception.
Okay,
And it's the first time we've been faced with the male cat not having been registered, and there's a litter to be registered at the same time.
okay.
Well,
Kathy, do you have more questions?
well, that in and of itself is not all that unusual when the parents of a cat get registered right along with the kittens. I know it's not ideal, but that's nothing new. So I'm okay. The rules of registration and like I said, at what point in time will that be changed? Is that something that's going to be changed and published for May 1? It'll be tomorrow.
I can do it tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Eileen. Rachel?
Thank you. You answered my question, but while I have the floor, I want to acknowledge that both Howard and Aki are now in the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out, Rachel. Aki, do you
Yes.
reaffirm?
I confirm. Yes.
Okay, Howard, do you reaffirm?
I reaffirm.
Thank you. Carissa?
I have 3 points. The first one is this is not, to my personal knowledge, this is not the first time we've had a sex-linked male that was registered that had kittens. I am aware of a chocolate calico Persian male that was probably a chimera because he was fertile and he did have kittens and those litters were registered. This was some time ago, but there is precedent for allowing a sex-linked male to register litters. Don't ask me for that cat's name. I don't remember it. I just remember the situation. My second comment is, can we change the rules of registration? Because I thought those were added into the bylaws. Or are we going to make it a registration policy, not a rule of registration? I think Ed will have to comment on that. And my third comment is, it's not really an exception to go ahead and register this male cat and his litter because there is no policy. So we're not making an exception. The owner of this cat is correct and he's not asking for an exception. He's just trying to register his cat and there's nothing in our rules that disallows it.
Okay, thank you, Carissa. Ed?
The board is free to change the general rules for registration whenever it wishes. It's only breed specific rules for registration that require a 60% vote of the breed council.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Carissa, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. And then Daryl and Mara Lee, do you have any comments on Carissa's third point? Daryl?
No, I have to agree with it.
Okay, Mara Lee?
Yes, this was kind of our unofficial policy. And if some cat got registered previously, it might have been something that slipped through, but unofficially, it's been my understanding that we have not allowed the registration of males like this. But so this, what central office has discussed now, gives us the ability to register this male, register the one litter, and then change everything and all the progeny to not for breeding. I don't really see where it's going to be an issue going forward. Clearly, there's sex-linked red males in these upcoming litters. You know, when we go forward, if these are chimeras, it's going to be impossible to have a good DNA on a chimera cat. So I don't know. I still think this is a good general registration rule. And I think Eileen's way of dealing with it at this time is a good one.
Okay, thank you, Mara Lee. Daryl?
I will say ditto on what Mayor Lee just said. I'll also remind the board that several years ago, all kinds of strange stuff was getting registered in CFA. And I presented a certified pedigree where there was a dominant calico produced by 2 dilute cats, and that's impossible.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Howard?
Yeah, I wanted to know why they couldn't be shown in altership. Maybe not the weird color, but the offspring that were in normal color.
Howard, is this pertaining to this specific motion?
Yes.
Okay, Mary Lee, you want to answer that?
Yeah, I mean, I would think they could. So if they're registered, it says register any progeny from the litter, male or female, as not for breeding. So they're registered. And as long as they are not the sex-linked red males, I don't see why they couldn't be. Because the sex-linked red males are the ones that are unable to be shown.
Howard, did Mary Lee answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Ed, before I call on this, are you comfortable with the action item as written based on the information that's been provided?
Yes, I am.
Okay, very good. Is there any further discussion?
Rich, this is Kathy again.
Go ahead,
I
Kathy.
think this might be my second time.
Okay,
And so what is the rationale behind not allowing a sex-linked red male who is neutered to be shown in Premiership?
Mary Lee?
It's my understanding those were the rules for, from what I understand, Maine Coons. Is that not correct? But I think whenever we saw one of those, I think we ended up making a ruling somewhere that sex-linked red males are not eligible for being shown. So that's a CFA show rule, I believe, but I'd have to go find it.
Ed is looking for it right now.
And I'm not, Yeah.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I'm not, and I'll drop it after this because this will be number 3. I'm not calling into question about who and when, and I'm just really looking forward. Is there a rationale why a cat, that male, that has been neutered, not being allowed to show in Premiership? I'm not seeing the downside of that cat being shown in Premiership, and I could be missing something. But it's neutered to be, it's doing what we've, but maybe the cat is beautiful and they just want to show it.
Okay, Kathy, you got any more points on that?
None. Nope,
Okay,
I'm out.
you're out. Rachel?
There is no color class for
Yes.
a red factor male in any breed.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Rachel. Ed?
There is a note at the beginning of Show Rule 30.01, which is the list of championship breeds, divisions, and colors, that reads in part, male cats whose color combinations occur only by virtue of genetic anomaly, more than one X chromosome present, are never eligible for kitten championship or premiership competition. Where permitted, an exhibitor may transfer such entry to an AOV class. If there's no AOV class for that breed, or the exhibitor does not agree to transfer to AOV, the judge must disqualify. And then it goes on a little more.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. Any further discussion? Any objections? Seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Eileen, you're gonna write a policy now? Is that what I understood you said earlier?
I'll add that policy, or I mean, it's a rule at this point, a policy, a
Okay.
rule. If I put in the rules for registration, and I'll have you review it, you and Ed review it tomorrow before.
Ed, if Eileen's gonna put together a written policy that's gonna be posted, should it come back to the board for approval? Or did we cover everything during this motion for her to proceed?
I think we covered, everything was covered during the
Okay.
discussion of this motion.
Okay, very good. I just want to make sure the policy is what the board expects it to be. Okay, Eileen, what else do you have?
Nothing else for me.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 5, Carol.
Yes, I
Before you
just
get
have,
started, I just want to confirm you have a standing motion on any action items. Is
yes,
that correct? And Polly, are you a standing second?
I will.
Thank you. Okay, Carol.
okay, the first action item I have is that 2 clubs have indicated they're resigning from CFA membership. The action item is to accept with regret the resignation of the following clubs: Al Andalus Cat Club, Region 9, effective February 5th, 2025, and Southern Traditions Cat Club, Region 7, effective December 31st, 2024.
Does anybody have any questions? Any objections? Seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, the next action item is to approve the request by the Mahamero Cat Club to change their name to Maha Cat Club, effective immediately. And normally I would have brought this forward in June, but the club wants to plan a show for the new show season using the new name if approved.
Okay, any discussion? Any objections? Seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously. Carol, do you have anything else?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Carol before we go on to the next item? Okay, thank you, Carol.
You're welcome.
Okay, next item is show rules. Carol, will you be a standing motion on all action items for show rules?
Yes, I will.
And by show of hand, may I have a standing second? Daryl, are you a standing second?
I am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ed,
Okay, the first motion is to amend show rule 29.02A to reduce the number of points required for a grand household pet title to 50 cats for cats residing and competing in Region 9, effective with the new show season.
okay, Pam, you want to speak on this?
For both of these are very strongly supported by a majority of clubs and exhibitors in Region 9. We feel we can attract more registrations. We can attract more people exhibiting at our shows. And given the chance that they believe that they have a chance to achieve, these titles. We have really strong competition when it comes to especially the long hairs. And Europe, all registries are basically, they're very long hair specific and really heavy long hair competition. We want them. We want them to come over. We want them to register. We want them to show. In speaking specifically to the grand household pet, if you would recognize Polly, he found an error on my part in the rationale. If you could have him speak, please.
Okay, Polly?
Yeah, I'm supporting this rule change, and I have to correct the statement that we don't have any grand household pets in Region 9. We actually have 3. Those are all from Finland, and with the fastest one to achieve the title, it took 3 years to show the cat. And the third one got title after showing the same cat 5 years. So 200 points for the household pets is far too much. And that's why we want to lower the numbers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Polly. Pam, did you want to continue?
Just basically the household pets are just an untapped market, but it's been our pedigreed exhibitors who are bringing along an extra household pet for whatever. And our last regional winner was one of those cats that was brought along by an Oriental Shorthair exhibitor. So it's a market that we could tap given the carrot principle, if we have a chance to do it. And I do want to say one thing. I'm looking at this, at the second one, as being part of an addendum, not part of the overall show rule. But back on the household pets, please give us a chance to really build up this market. And anything that we build up here, and I do want to remind everybody, Region 9 has more registrations than any other region. And we can keep getting that because we have a market that the other regions don't have. We have exhibitors from FIFA, we have exhibitors from WCF, and we have a plethora of independent clubs, which is something that we've never seen before in the United States. And we want to be able to capitalize and reach these markets to come over and try us. They don't have to give up their association, but add us too. And that's our philosophy here. So I'm asking for the board's help.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Does anybody have any questions for Pam? Any further discussion? Any objections? Seeing no objection, first motion passes unanimously. Okay, Ed, let's go to the second one.
Okay, just a quick statement that although the first motion was a change to the permanent show rules, the permanent show rules have already gone to press. So we'll be reflecting this in the addendum for the coming show season.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
And the second motion is to amend the addendum for the current show season, providing an exception to the grand points requirements for cats in the ID, Ukraine, Russia, west of the Urals, to reduce the number of points required in Region 9 for Grand Champion title to 150 and for a Grand Premier title to 50, effective with the new show season. This removes some of the other exceptions for certain countries in Region 9 and makes the entire region have uniform grand point requirements.
Okay. Carissa?
This motion infuriates me. When Region 9 first came into CFA, they promised that they would never ask for exceptions, just like Region 8 came in. And I feel like we have been asked for exception after exception. I was fine with the household pet because they definitely have evidence that they really don't have household pet numbers, but the evidence is not there for championship at all. If you pull the champion numbers from the last few shows in Region 9, they have comparable or higher champion counts than Regions 1 through 8. They have shows that had 85 champions, 74 champions, 53 champions, just in the last few months. The rest of their shows are in the 30s and 40s. I strongly object to this. This is an insult to the rest of the regions who have to get 200 points or 75. It is an insult to the people who originally presented Region 9 to the delegation. And I just absolutely am flabbergasted. If you ask the majority of exhibitors, hey, would you like to have less points to get the same title in every region? Probably most of them would say, yeah, I'd like to get the same title for less work. Of course they are. That's irrelevant. We have titles and we have standards and we should adhere to them. I want to point out that yes, their premiership numbers are lower, but so were the numbers lower in regions 1 through 7. When I first started showing in premiership back in the 90s, we would be lucky to have 5 cats in premiership. It took a really long time to get my cat to 75 points, like 2 years. But over time, premiership grew, and not because anybody lowered the threshold for grant, not because we had a carrot. People began to enjoy showing in premiership. I completely object to every single reason to lower these points for an entire region that has just as many shows, if not more, than most of the rest of the regions, and has just as many points available, and probably has more grands than all of the other regions. They don't need less points.
Thank you, Carissa. Rachel?
Thank you. Well, I want to point out a couple of things that Pam has mentioned repeatedly. Region 9 is where we're getting our most registrations. And the other regions, region 1 through 8, the ID and China are not in the middle of a war in parts of their region. So I'm in favor of this. This is an addendum. This is just for the next show season. I see an area of growth here that's very active. I want to keep it active, and I want to keep people continuing to try CFA. And if we give them something that they can reasonably achieve, they'll come back and they will stay. And that's what I want. CFA is a great place to be. I want people to show their beautiful cats with us, and I support this motion.
Thank you, Rachel. Polly?
I kind of agree with what Carissa said. She has a point. But also the clubs requesting to lower the points have a great point. Our show season currently is only from October till mid-March. And after that, our counts are really low. And we are not only lowering the points, we are also changing points higher in championships because we have a certain areas where the numbers are much lower. So we try to put everything in the same line in the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Polly. Daryl?
Well, I agree with what Rachel said, but I also agree with what Carissa said. Would it be possible that we could keep the grand points at 200 and lower the grand premier points to 50? That would be my suggestion.
Daryl, you might want to get prepared to do amended motion if Pam doesn't agree, but I want to call on Pam because she presented this item to the show rules committee. So Pam, address all the comments that were made.
Well, I didn't write down all the comments were made, but I do want to remind people, as a regional director, you have to represent everyone. And as regional director, with the large number of people who have asked for this, and for the clubs that support this, I am duty bound to bring it forward. I'm going to say it took me, for my first grand, 11 shows. Of course, I started back with premiership back in the 70s. So and my first grand was in championship. I am still trying to get grand titles on 2 cats, one in championship and one in premiership, but it's not because of quality or competition. It's because mother happens to judge too much to be able to show. The region looks at the, and specifically they're looking at the long hairs. The competition is incredible. It is so incredible over here in Europe that I have talked with members of the judging program committee and said long hair trainees should be required to do at least one show in Europe to really get to find out why we have divisions in exotics. This would be 1 year test for the addendum. And if it doesn't have the draw, then it would be out. But as I said, I am duty bound to bring this forward to the board based upon the desires of a large majority of my constituents.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Kenny?
Yeah, I want to remind everybody, one of the reasons we went to 6 divisions color in the exotics is because of Europe. The quality of their long hairs, I can certainly attest to from the beginning. At the time, we were probably 95% long hair cats. It has since evened out with many short hair breeds. So we've made great strides in there in drawing a lot of different breeds to be kind of equal things out. As far as numbers are concerned, Polly's right. They shut down for the summer. And but it's the way it's always been there in Europe. I like Daryl's suggestion. Even as a better compromise in my mind would be to go to 175 and 50. But that's something we would have to turn this down and then have another motion, obviously. But I understand Carissa's concern. It does. I hate the word cheapen the title of grand, but I have seen over my course since 1973, we may be dropping in numbers, but the quality of cats everywhere has really gotten better. We've gotten a lot better breeders. So it is difficult to obtain these titles. So I would like to hear other people's opinions as far as maybe adjusting the grand points, maybe not down 50 points on the grand champion.
Okay, thank you, Kenny. Kathy?
Okay, so I don't really have enough data here to even make a decision, but I think what Carissa brought up about the numbers, perhaps we should set this aside and maybe ask, our data guru, Dick Calameyer, put some numbers together. I don't think there's a person in any region right now that thinks this is easy because the numbers are down. So I think that we should make a data-driven decision. And the whole premise of this being 1 year, we do this, it's going to be more than 1 year. Let's not fool ourselves. So I would like to see some data and come back and readdress.
Thank you, Kathy. Daryl?
Would it be possible for Carissa to repeat the champions and the shows that she told us?
Sure. Carissa?
Hold on, I pulled it up on it. I just did a few. It looks like Edelweiss had a 6x6. The first one was 16 long hair, 22 short hair, 38 all breed. The next day, 16 long hair, 23 short hair, 39 all breed. Cat Fanciers of Finland, 15 and 15 for a total of 30. Orange Cat Club, Universal, 44 long hairs, 9 short hairs, 53 all breed. Club Felino Espanol, 23 long hairs, 6 short hairs, 29 all breed. There is another one I didn't grab the name, and similar, 23 to 5 to 28. Universal Cats, Orange Cats, 58 long hairs, 16 short hairs, 74 all breed. Club Feline Fleur de Lis, 18, 13, 31.
That's
UK
not a-
Cat. I'm
They were
sorry.
good. I
Okay.
think we got enough right now, Carissa.
Okay, there was one more that was like a very aberrant, but this was a Ukraine show with 58 long hair, 27 short hair, 85 all breed. I wonder how many one-show grands were at that show.
Okay,
So Rich, the point I wanted to make is that these are numbers that are similar to the cat shows we're having here. And we require people here to have 200 points. So the people in Region 9 are granting their cats. And if we lower it, there's going to be 21 show grands at a high count show. I just don't see I have to agree with Carissa. 200 is the right amount of points. Now, I know that the premiership counts. The last two shows that I've judged, there's been about 20 premieres. That includes the grands and everything. And so there's not a lot of competition right now, and it's the end of the season. And maybe I'm at the wrong show. But I would go along with 50 in premiership because I think Carissa said that the premier counts were a lot lower. So I think leaving the grands at 200 and decreasing the grand premier at 50 points isn't a reasonable compromise.
okay, Marilee.
Yeah, I have to agree. The shows I've been at over there, the champion count is quite large. I would say borderline larger than what we see in the States. One thing I don't understand, I mean, we have the OCP rings that actually do make more grands per show statistically when we did the statistics on them. But most of the clubs in Europe still stick with those super specialties, which I'm not sure why they do that versus going more with the OCPs. But I think if we want to lower the grand champion points, I think we're going to have to do what Kathy recommended and see if Dick is, feels that that's actually validated with the numbers. I'm okay with decreasing for the grand premier points because again, like I think the upcoming Ukraine show has pretty much 0 in premiership, and they have 79 out of the 90 cats entered are champions. So, I mean, that gives you the chance to be not only a one show grand, but almost like a 2.5 ring grand. I think we need to look at the numbers if we want to change those, but I'm fine with grand premiership.
Thank you, Marilee. Pam?
One thing I want to remind everyone is that Region 9 does have something that the other regions don't have. And that is the outlawing of owning of Persians, Sphinx, other hairless breeds, Japanese bobtails, Manx, any cat that shows the slightest bit of not having a tail or having a stunted tail or having very little coat to no coat to having a whole bunch of coat, but a brachiocephalic head. We have countries who have banned our cats. So if we have a lot of cats, it's because we're all congregating where we can have our breeds without being against the law. In the Netherlands, if you have a Persian, you're allowed to keep that cat, but God forbid you should get another. Same thing with Sphinx and the other hairless breeds. Rex, Cornish Rex, Devon Rex, outlawed in Switzerland. So no, we don't have a level playing game, level playing field over here, because we're fighting, one, to keep our cats still available within many of these countries. Oh, and Marilee, Scottish Folds are out in Belgium. Not only are we trying very hard to keep our cats, to be able to have our pedigree cats in several countries, but we're also trying to keep the cat fancy alive with FIFA as competition, with WCF as competition. Yet we're trying to entice some of them to come over and join us at our shows. So no, it's not a level playing field. And this, as I said, we're trying to keep building over here. I don't want to see us lose our position of having more registrations than any other region.
Thank you, Pam. Carissa?
I pulled the premiership numbers and they're actually comparable to what's going on in regions 1 through 7. So I've been showing in premiership extensively, and I know the numbers, and the premiership numbers all breed. They are more slanted toward longs in their premierships, but they still get just as many cats in premiership, not grands, but premiers, grand points at the region 9 shows for the most part, with the exception being the one show I pulled from the Ukraine, which had no cats in premiership. But all of their other shows are actually right in line with what's going on in regions 1 through 8. Same premiership numbers. Some of them are in the single digits, but that's where the premier numbers are in regions 1 through 9. So I object strongly to lowering the points at all. I do think we have formats that could help them out, particularly because they do have these really heavy long hair classes at some of their shows. I think they should really consider having more specialty rings. I've noticed a lot of the Europe shows tend to be all breed. They are using super specialty, which is good. I don't know that any of them have taken advantage of the OCP format. There is that to help them feel like, because OCP allows them to use as many long hairs as they want. If there's they could have 10 long hairs in an OCP final. So there are formats there that could definitely work for these European exhibitors who feel that the long hair classes are really, really ultra competitive. That doesn't change the meaning of the grand title, which I believe while Pam is representing her region, the rest of us have to represent the rest of CFA as a whole. And keeping the integrity of that grand title is something that we should be doing as board members.
Carissa, you, don't go anywhere, because I want you to tell us the premiership numbers for those 7 shows as you did with the championships. What are they, so we have them?
Okay. Do you want me to tell the club names or just give you the
No,
numbers?
just the numbers.
Okay. First show 3-2, so then 5. The second show 3-2 and then 5. Third show 1-4 and then 5. The next show 14-2 and 16. The next show 6-8, 6-2 to make it 8. 10-0 for all breed 10. The next show 4-5 all breed of 9. The next show 6-3 all breed of 9. And the final show, that's that Ukraine show, there were no premiers entered.
Okay, and you stated that these are similar to the numbers of premiers in regions 1 through 7.
Absolutely. I mean, I've got the show count archive up. I have to move my camera because I like go around it to look at it. But Los Colores Club was 9-6 for 15. Tennessee Valley 5-5 for 10. Mocan 4-4 for 8. Mackenzie River had 8-2 for 10. Land of the Sky 6-2-6 for 8. Ozark was 5-9 for 14. Crab and Mallet was 3-7 for 10. Trying to Genesee 5-7 for 12. Illini 6-5 for 11. I hope that makes sense how I'm saying this.
Yeah, I'm following it. Hopefully
Arkansas
Rachel-
Feline Fanciers was 3-1 for 4. I'm trying to skip some of the ID shows. Midwest Persian Tabby Fanciers was 6-2 for 8. Wichita Cat Fancy 4-4 for 8. So comparable numbers.
Okay, I think we got enough there.
Okay.
Carol, you're the maker of the motion. Daryl, you're the second. Carol, do you want to make any changes to the original motion?
I don't think I want to, but I reserve the right to vote no.
Okay. And Daryl, did you want an amended motion, or do you want to go with, see what happens?
Well, I'm conflicted because I was leaning toward the 50, but not the 150 for grands. But after Carissa just read off those numbers, there's no difference there than there is here. So I can't support this for either one.
Okay, then I'm going to call the motion as it sits right now, which is reducing the championship to 150 and the premiership to 50. Ed, do I have that correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay, I'm going to call for the vote because I know there's objections. If you're in favor, raise your hand. Please remember to leave your hand up until I ask everybody to take your hand down. Pam, Polly, Penny, and Rachel. Okay, lower your hand. If you're opposed, raise your hand. Daryl, Marilee, Aki, Dorianne, Janet, Kathy, Carol, Howard, Vicky, Ann, John, and Carissa. Okay, lower your hand. If you're an abstention, raise your hand. No abstentions.
I did not get a vote from Russell.
I did not either. Russell? are you
I'm
in favor?
opposed.
You're opposed. Okay, thank you, Russell. Okay, when you're ready, Rachel.
That's 4 yes, 13 no, 0 abstentions.
Okay, this motion fails. Pam,
Just one thing, Rachel, the region decided that if this did fail at this board level, it will be submitted as a change to the show rules at the annual meeting. So we've already have this in line.
okay, thank you, Pam.
Deadline's coming up.
Ed, do you have anything further?
No, nothing else for show rules.
Okay, does anybody have any additional questions for Ed or Carol? Okay, I just want to remind the board, today is April 1st. And we're still working on show rules for the new year, which is 30 days away. We need to get our show rules to the show rules committee for the October board meeting and do our best to stay on track with that. As Ed pointed out, the show rules booklet went to print and anything after a certain point ends up in the addendum. Okay, thank you, Ed. Thank you, Carol. Ed, don't go anywhere because we're going to do the International Cat Show and Expo.
This should be quick. There are no action items. Just wanted to make public the list of judges selected by the clubs and their assignments.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Ed? Congratulations to all the judges that were selected. Ed, thank you.
Sure.
Next, agenda item number 8 is International Division. Daryl.
Thank you, Mr. President. I submitted a pretty lengthy report this time. I hope everyone's gone through it. There's just a couple of things that I want to bring up. When I was in Hong Kong weekend before this past weekend, they brought up some issues with TRNs. Apparently, you can go on the website and get a TRN and not pay for it and not submit a pedigree. So if that is the case, we need to change that so that at least they have to pay for it. So maybe that's something Aline can answer.
Aline?
The TRNs go through the entry clerk system. So it really, through the online entry system, you can enter a TRN. And it's really up to the entry clerks to tell people what they owe, just like they would with any entry.
Okay. Well, it seems to me like it would be smarter to charge them for the number when they ask for it, but that's just me. They
Hang
also,
on, Daryl. Daryl, hang on one second. Aline and James, can we do what Daryl is suggesting?
No.
I have to think about that. It's not a registration.
Well, it is a registration.
Yes.
It's a
Well,
temporary
it is, it's
registration.
temporary.
So it's a registration.
Can we come back on that? We gotta give that some thought, I
You
think.
know what? Let's put that, Rachel, let's put that on new business. And if we can't get to it tonight, we'll follow up at the next meeting on that item. Daryl, that might be a great idea.
yeah.
I have a note of it.
What did Rachel say?
I made a note to bring it up under
Oh.
new business.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. The other thing that came up is Matt and I both explained the importance of TRNs, especially for Region 9, which is used pretty heavily. They felt like if they Cat Siren Dam or CFA registered, that they should not be allowed to use a TRN since they can get a expedited registration number. So I'm just throwing that out for your consumption.
Okay, hang on a second, Daryl. Maybe Pam has something. Pam, do you have something on that specific to what Daryl just brought up?
You're on mute, Pam. Well, while Pam's trying to get off mute, Kathy Dunham would like to address the TRN
I'm
question
off.
when Pam's done.
Okay, go ahead, Pam.
On the parentage, we went through this previously. We have cats, CFA cats that are sold to other associations that we have to bring back through to register the offspring by pedigree. So having those parents, which were CFA cats, became, let's say, FIFA cats or WCF cats or whatever, and to get their offspring registered, we had to pass a special rule that yes, these cats can be registered because they had been re-registered in another association and now have a new pedigree. So I would be entirely against saying that cats with CFA parents cannot be registered. Right? And Polly can go through this. We've been through this with the board.
Okay, thank you, Pam. Daryl?
Well, that doesn't even make any sense. I mean, if a CFA male and a CFA female produce a kitten, it's entitled to a registration CFA number.
May I?
Go ahead,
Rich?
Pam.
But the kitten will be registered FIFA.
I don't care. It
That's
doesn't
what we
nullify
want
the
to. Wait,
CFA
Daryl,
background.
please, I have the floor. The kitten, let's say if the parents were sold to FIFA cats and they turned around and produced a kitten or a litter, all of those will be registered FIFA. So to register that kitten, we have to do it by pedigree. But if you disallow registering by the male and female because they were once registered in CFA, then you're going to hurt a lot of our registration by pedigree, which brings in a whole bunch of money than a regular registration.
Okay, Daryl?
So can I ask Aline a question?
Yes, you can.
So Aline, if there is a kitten, even though it's maybe registered in another organization, do we nullify the sire and the dam's registration number in CFA and not entitle it to register kittens?
No. We
Yeah.
don't check. If it's a sire and the dam are CFA registered, they can register a litter
Thank you.
and the kitten's out of it. We don't check to see if it's been registered in fief. That's up to the individuals. We don't police that.
Okay, Kathy Calhoun.
Okay. I'd be very interested in seeing what Kathy Dunham has to say, but I'm on board with Daryl. This seems to be a little bit odd. And as far, I mean, we need, if there's a gap as to how people are doing this and not paying CFA, that gap needs to be closed. It's not, can we close it? We need to close it. And people who register in more than one association is not unusual anywhere. People have cats registered in CFA, same cats registered in TICA. Babies here, babies there. So I just don't, if this gap seems to be something that we need to really focus on closing.
Thank you, Kathy. Carissa?
I just have a question for Pam because I don't understand what she was saying. If somebody has 2 CFA registered cats and they have a baby, which they choose to register in another association, the offspring, why can they not also register the litter and then the cat with CFA? It seems like they're doing it the hard way by pulling the pedigree on the offspring and then registering it by pedigree. Why not just register the litter and then register the kitten? If you have 2 of CFA registered cats, you can register the litter and then register the kitten. I think maybe that's an educational issue with what's going on with her constituents in Region 9.
Okay, before we continue here, Daryl, are you okay if we allow Kathy Dunham to speak on this topic
Absolutely. And can I make a comment after she's done?
after Kathy's done?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is what I'm gonna do, just so everybody knows. I'm gonna call on Kathy Dunham first, then Daryl, and then as the hands are raised, which is Marilee, Pam, Holly, and Vicky. Okay, so Kathy Dunham, go ahead.
Thank you. As the person that takes care of TRNs, I'd like to clear up a few oversights or misconceptions. If a TRN number is requested, I have to track that TRN number when it comes into central office. If it is not paid for, I ask the club for the payment and the club goes back to the exhibitor and gets the payment, or I work directly with the exhibitor to get payment, either by credit card, PayPal, whatever it is that has to be done. So TRNs are getting paid for. That's not an issue. So if a cat, so setting that aside, TRNs are getting paid for. If the parents of a cat requesting a TRN are CFA registered, dam and sire are CFA registered, they are asking for that TRN so they can hold their points until registration is complete, either via litter registration through our normal process, or as Pam stated, there are cats, because of the laws of other associations on how cats are registered, they have to pull those pedigrees and register the kittens in CFA via pedigree. So the TRN is being used to hold their points, which is completely legit. It's done all the time. So we're not missing anything here. TRNs are getting paid for. I track them. They go on a spreadsheet. Dick Kalmeyer pulls them every so often to do the report for the board about TRNs and the percentages getting registered, the percentages that are not being registered, and all of those things that he looks at. So I think there's some miscommunication or misunderstanding from some exhibitors in Hong Kong. I'm happy to do education with anybody that wants it. I'm all about education so that going forward, we're handling it correctly and we're not just, willy-nilly doing it 50 different ways, and I get to address it every time I see a show. So those are the comments that I wanted to make. I'm happy to talk to anybody individually offline about how the process works. But I just wanted to kind of let you know how I handle it in central office. Thanks.
Okay, Kathy, thank you. Don't go anywhere just in case we need you. Daryl, you're next.
So Kathy, thank you for that. That makes a lot of sense, and it probably explains a couple of things that we didn't understand. So this is not an action item. This is just something that I brought up because it came up in our meeting, and we're wasting valuable time on something that's not even an action item. I only have one action item, and so I don't know if the people that have their hands up still want to make a comment, but we're eating up valuable time.
Okay, then I'm going to make this recommendation for all those that had their hands up. It was Marilee, Pam, Polly, and Vicky. I'm going to go back to my original suggestion because Daryl made a recommendation on how we process the TRNs. Let's put this under new business because it wasn't part of the original report. And as Daryl said, it's wasting time. Now, Marilee, Pam, Polly, and Vicky, do you object to that? And do you need to get your point out right now? Okay, Daryl, we're moving on. Kathy
Okay,
Dunham, thank you.
Yep, thank you, Kathy. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory here. So I just gave you a little update on how many clubs we had. James was nice enough to send me an Excel file with the clubs and the ID. We had 105. We had a few clubs that hadn't paid their dues. I've listed those clubs and we've been in contact with them trying to get them to renew. The action item I have is on the next page, and it's Borneo Cat Fanciers of Indonesia. They're proposing an in conjunction show with WCF, Nusantara Cat Squad. And so my action item here is to approve an in conjunction show between the Borneo Cat Fanciers. Are we on? Yeah, okay. So I don't need to read it to you. You know what it is. So I think this is, we had an in conjunction show in Thailand, worked out really great with WCF. So they want to try this in Indonesia. So this is my motion.
Kenny, are you making a second on this?
I am.
Okay, Rachel.
Thank you. Daryl, I just wanted to make a note that I took the liberty of appending your motion by adding the language we usually put on there.
Yes, I noticed that. Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel. Okay, is there any further discussion on the motion? Any objections? Okay, seeing no objection, motion passes unanimously.
Okay.
Daryl, continue.
Okay, thank you. Then Bob and Marilee gave a report that you all can read. Jan Rogers gave a very good report. We got a PowerPoint from Heike this morning on Pharaonic Cat Club in Egypt. So I sent that out to everybody. I sent the PDF form of it. Jan briefly went through what is in that PowerPoint. And I don't, does anyone have any questions on that? I asked Jan to be here if there were any questions so she could answer.
Does anybody have any questions for Jan? No hands, Daryl.
Okay. Then we'll move on to Alan Raymond gave an update on the combined show, the awards banquet. And the only issue that I've heard a couple of complaints on, they want a 2-day show and they're going to have the awards banquet on Monday night. So I think it's November 1 and 2, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1 and 2 in the banquet on the 3rd. So that's the update on the combined ID banquet. And I believe that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Daryl and anything to do with the ID committee? Okay, Daryl, thank you very much.
Can I give a thank you to my committee? They really worked hard on this one for me. So appreciate it.
Okay, thank you to the entire committee for all the work that they did. Okay, agenda item number 9, marketing. I'm not sure who is taking us through this. Do we have Melanie, Desiree, and Mark available? Or is it just one person?
Desiree available, and Melanie. Is Melanie here?
I see
Yeah, and
Melanie and I
Melanie.
see Desiree. Hi, Desiree. Hi, Melanie. Welcome.
Hello.
Just a reminder, I don't believe there's any action items on this. We do not want you to take us through the report. I trust the board reads it. You can make a comment on anything that's missing and also address any questions the board may have. So Desiree, we'll start with you and then I'll go to Melanie.
Okay. Yeah, we just wanted to submit the details about the activities we've been working on, and what the status is on our projects. So we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, and Melanie, do you have any comments? Melanie, you're on mute.
It's just
No.
trying to figure out the unmute.
Oh, okay. You're still on mute, Melanie. Okay, well, Melanie's trying to figure that out. I'm going to go to the board. Do you have any questions for Desiree or Melanie? I do not see any hands up for questions. Desiree, do you have any additional comments?
Nope, I'm all set. Thank you.
Melanie, I can see you, but I know I can't hear you. Okay. You're
He's
out
good.
with a thumbs up. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, Desiree. And thank you to Mark and Aline. We're gonna move on. Okay, our next item is agenda item number 10, Show Hall Technology. Kathy Dunham, are you coming back? There you
Here.
are. What do you have for us, Kathy?
This is just an update from the Show Hall Technology Subcommittee of the IT Committee. And if the board has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, it's just an update.
Well, don't go anywhere, because we got at least one question coming. Pam,
Kathy, you're talking about doing a testing on the one part form to substitute for what we're currently using, the NCR papers. Are you talking first question is, are you talking about the judges' sheets?
Yes.
The beta testing, since you have over 50% of your judging program is outside the US, as are any of the judges outside of North America being part of the beta testing?
Not at this point, but I am welcome to entertaining anyone that wants to try it.
Okay, because I think that you have some in Europe that would be interested, because we use the yellow sheet extensively in formulating our finals, for writing down reasons for disqualifying a cat. And if we're doing a trainee, oftentimes making remarks while we're going through the training process on that yellow sheet. So by doing it away with one sheet, and I'm willing to test this, but by doing away with the one sheet, we're generating more paperwork. My other question on the paperless system using tablets, bless you, I'm all for that. But I want you to know I've used tablets in judging in Poland with FIFA. I've used tablets in judging for World of Cats shows. In fact, we used the tablets, even had phrases there we could write out a whole report like what is given under traditional judging using the tablet, and it went to the exhibitor. In doing this, it went to the exhibitor electronically. So technology is there. I've brought up the fact that we've used the tablets in Poland. I'd be happy to put anybody together with anybody else to be able to talk this, because this is totally out of my field, but I have used it before, and I hope that we can get it together. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Pam. Daryl?
So I agree with Pam. Going to a tablet would be wonderful, but that's a little ways down the road. So with anything we try new, we have to make a sacrifice or two. And I think I have done single sheet for the last 2 weekends. I did it in Hong Kong. There was no issues at all. The only issue I had was scanning. I tried to scan on my iPad and I couldn't get it to work. So I started scanning on my phone. And so over 2 weekends, I think I've come up with a good system for using single sheets. I even emailed the entry clerk for next week and told her all I need is the white copy. So I don't need the yellow copy. This past weekend, I tore the yellow copies out and threw them in the trash. So what I did was after I judged all the premieres and I scanned all of the pages on my iPhone. And it's easy to do. You can do it in notes. You just name a file. And I stacked them up and did the breed sheet, and I scanned each page as I went through. And then I have my little cheat sheet that I used for cats I'm gonna put in my final. And it was easy to go through my phone. And what I did was, if I thought the cat was worthy of a final, I circled the cat on the white page. I cleared this asked this with Kathy, and she said, it's not an issue. I made a bigger circle so it did not touch the number. So this past weekend was a lot easier than the first weekend I tried it, and it's just going to take a little getting used to. But the benefits outweigh everything. So as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you, Daryl.
Thank you, Daryl. Kathy Calhoun, you had your hand up and then took it down. Did you have a question or a comment?
No, I think Daryl pretty much summed up what I said. Change is imminent. There will be a point in time where this carbonless paper won't even exist anymore.
Yep.
There is a cost savings associated with it. And I don't do anything on the yellow sheet except for household pets. I do it on household pets but I don't do anything else there. So you just, you adapt. If you need to take notes, you put it on a separate piece of paper.
Yeah.
Kathy, I have a question for you. It's on current happenings of committee, number 2. With the single sheet here, you are suggesting a rollout second quarter of 2025, 2026, August 1. When you say rollout, is that rollout for all clubs and all shows?
Yes.
Or it is, okay. So
Mhm.
it's system-wide. Okay.
Yep. System wide.
Great. And then
And we've
Alene,
worked very closely with the judging program with Vicky Nye and Nancy Dodds and several other judges to believe that that is doable. And they'll be talking about it in June at the annual at their workshop. And I am available to answer any questions there as they have them. So
that's great. Alene, maybe at the next board meeting, you can inform the board what type of cost savings this might be in terms of printing cost and also shipping costs.
Absolutely.
Within $1,000 would be nice. I don't expect you to have it perfect, but
Mhm.
get it close.
I'll give a good ballpark figure.
Right. Kathy Dunham, do you have anything else?
not for open session.
And does anybody else have any further questions for Kathy before we move on? Hey, Kathy, great job. Thank you. Oh, Daryl?
Rich, I was just going to mention that I downloaded the breed sheets and the final sheets and made it a fillable PDF. If any of the judges want those, I'm happy to share them with them. But I have the last two shows, I printed out my breed sheets and my final sheets with that fillable PDF, print them out and take them with me. So I don't even need those provided by central office.
So you're just printing them at home, Daryl?
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Kathy, thank you very much.
See you in closed session.
Okay, see you in a little bit. All right, Rachel? I think we're on to other committees.
I've
Do you
had
have
no
anything?
other committees submit reports.
Okay. Do we have anything in new business?
We have two, we have the one item about the TRN, the free and advance online, but I think Kathy Dunham covered that. I was asked to move it to new business, so I'm bringing it up now.
Okay. Daryl, maybe you and I can talk more about this TRN with your recommendation if we need to on paying during processing, if we're not comfortable with what Kathy Dunham's responses were on making sure payments are made.
Well, it just the only point I want to make is that if they are going to be able to get a TRN number on the website, when they go to the show, somehow or number or another, we need to notify the entry clerk that they have to pay the fee and that they have to provide the pedigree. So I'm not sure how we do that, but it would seem better if we could automate it so that they would pay the fee whenever they request the number. That's just my opinion, but I mean that's up to central office.
Okay, Polly?
If you're gonna have some meeting about TRNs, can I join? Because that's something what I know very well, how the TRNs work.
Daryl, my suggestion is why don't we do a meeting, and I say we, you and I, with Polly, Kathy, and Alene, and then we
That's
can come
fine.
back to the board with with whatever we come up with, so we're not wasting time on tonight's meeting.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, that's what we'll do then, Rachel. We'll come back at that for the future. And then Rachel, what was the second item? You said we had two items?
No, I made a mistake. I have a note here for something to bring up in executive session.
Oh, okay, very good. And then, do we have anything for old business, Rachel?
I have no old business on
Okay.
my notes.
All right. And does anybody have anything else before we end open session? Don't see your hands up. It is 8:35 Eastern time. We're going to break until 8:45 for 10 minutes. This meeting is adjourned.